Today, I thought I'd record a video on one of my older parks, and a park that I started my YouTube channel on. So let's get into it. Previously, a building my theme park around the world adventure. I built all the interior for the main street area. In today's episode, I thought I'd continue with this park by adding on with a new festive themed land to start 2026. So let's get into it with today's episode. So to do this, I thought I'd actually do this in a time-lapse and I just talk over it. There will also be sections in this time-lapse where I'll just go quiet because there's not a whole lot to talk about when just placing some snow down, as well as when I'm building the coaster. However, I thought I'd just build like a placement for the snow here, and then I'll go and move on to the coaster. And I decided to actually do this coaster with the new switch track elements that we got in the last update. So that's what I'm decided to do here. So I thought I mentioned for the switch track element, as I'm building in here, there's the A and B section. For the A section, it's to continue the track forward. For the B section is to build the switch track. Now, one of the things you want to make sure when making the switch tracks is that you make it a little bit bigger than this white circle here, because if you make it too small, it won't place it down. As well as when you're placing the curve down and switching it, it is very finicky, and you have to make sure that the curve is in the exact length. And as you can see here, I expanded it to this length in order to place it down. Now, I know there's a lot of settings that you can mess with to actually change the switch tracks, but I haven't really delved into that stuff yet because it's very complex and difficult. However, I'm not here to talk about switch tracks. I'm here to talk about what I'm doing here for this coaster. So for the coaster, I decided to have the coaster launch up into a hill and go back and forth into the station before switching over to the actual layout of the coaster. As you can see, that's what I was building, which I'm probably falling a little behind in this timeline. So now I'm placing the snow down for this coaster, and this is basically the same process over and over again. So while I'm doing this, I guess I'll talk about my other series that I'm currently working on, which is a Universal style park that I'm building inside a theme park Tycoon 2. And for that park, I'm trying to work on it and trying to finish a park for once, because every single time I start a park in this game, I never end up finishing it because I get bored of it. And hopefully in 2026, this will be the year that I actually finish a park for once. So after a little while, I stopped placing the snow down because it was getting quite boring, and I decided to go and place some rocks down instead, which I quickly deleted because I realized this rock looks very strange and out of place, which means the same thing, but just very strange without snow. So I deleted it and built the rock with snow on it and then copied that over multiple times. You may notice at this point that I stopped recording and I built a lot off screen. This is what happens when you completely forget to press record and get really tuned into building. Anyway, what I decided to do next was to add some rocks behind the areas of track that was unsupported. I may be falling behind again in timelines, but real quick, what I was trying to do was add some supports behind the coaster track that didn't have supports yet. This was mainly behind the station, and I decided to use rocks as supports instead of building supports under the track. The next thing that I decided to do was add an archway over the pathway, which still doesn't exist yet, but you'll see when we get further along in this video. The next thing is I went back to the ravine, which is what I'm calling it now, to where the brake run is, and I filled out that area with more rocks, as well as cleaned up some of the areas that had holes and deleted some of the snow so it didn't look unnatural. Lastly, I decided to add some detail to this ravine by adding this archway as well. And then I went to move on to the inversion, and I decided to add the rock that I built previously to support the track at the station here as well. So we finally start adding the path that I talked about earlier. Now this path may change later on, it depends how this series goes. Anyway, I also decided to add some rocks here as well as continue adding the snow on this section of the coaster. But I'm afraid I'm out of money, as well as I want to make these videos a little shorter. So that will be all I have for today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one, a Building Around the World adventure.